Hello, hindsight. Long time no see anyone else. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Quite a lot has changed since the last time I was here on Hindsight 2020. Hindsight sure is 2020. I really like how quickly this just devolved into me and Ro just shouting at each other into a void. Because me and Ro see each other every day. We live in the same house. And yet this is how we're communicating. I guess that makes sense for the apocalypse. A lot has happened in the past 2 weeks since my last video. My last video was about music and stuff and my journey with that. And since then, that global pandemic that's happening has sort of become a bit more imminent. At the time of recording that video, it wasn't that this stuff wasn't happening. It was that in this country, we're kind of in that in-between stage where we knew that the impending doom was coming. We could see ahead at Italy for reference because they're a really similar sized country to us and apparently we're pretty much exactly 2 weeks behind them. But there was nothing that I could possibly say that would add to the conversation. We hadn't reached the tipping point yet, and since then we have. So there's still nothing intelligent that I can add to the conversation. You know, I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor. Stay inside, people. That's it. But it is really shocking to have captured the difference. Like, when I posted that video about music stuff, a part of me was like, I hope people don't find it particularly weird that I didn't mention COVID-19. But at the time, it wasn't. But by the following Monday, it definitely would have been weird to not address it. So just to give you a little bit of context of my situation right now, in the UK, personally, I think they were really late to act. They were really late to bring in rules. For about 2 weeks, there was a massive disparity between my online world and my real world, because on my online world, everybody I could see seemed to be working from home and thinking that everyone else was doing the same. Meanwhile, I was going to work in a venue serving hundreds of people, and all those people didn't really seem to care about the imminent threat. It was very strange. They were all coming up to the bar and making jokes about it and referencing it, but none of them thought to maybe not be there. And we couldn't not be there because it is our jobs. The situation developed, it got a lot worse. Our government really avoided putting rules in place and instead they just gave lots of advice. Oh, maybe don't gather. Oh, maybe don't go to venues. And it was really annoying because it meant that we sort of were forced to close but wouldn't get any compensation because it was technically our decision. Quite a lot has changed since then as the situation has worsened and worsened. They've made venues and restaurants and stuff shut, and staff of those restaurants and venues and everywhere else are eligible for 80% of our pay. We haven't yet been told how that's going to be given to us. It's a bit confusing because we're all on 0 hours contracts, but I still work like full time. So where are they going to find it from? Hopefully, maybe the last 12 weeks that I did or something similar to that. I don't know. So now our current endpoint, unfortunately, is that we know that the government acted too late and the lockdown started a week ago. And now we're in the middle of waiting for the incubation period from the beginning of the lockdown to see how big the increase is and how much we didn't manage to stop the spread of it. Hospitals across the country are overwhelmed. Doctors are crying out for help. This is horrible, obviously. And very frustrating that it's not like the UK government is the only country that's acted like this, but so frustrating imagining the difference it could make to people and suffering if they'd taken the advice of behavioural experts and medical experts. So, unfortunately, as is the same with many people across the world right now, my past couple of weeks have been filled with confusion and sadness and fear. But everyone's hearing enough of that tone on the news right now. We don't always have to live completely in reality, and it's good to have an escape. So, what I wanted to do is just share with you some of the positive things that I've experienced over the past couple of weeks. Obviously, when our venue first shut, we were really worried about money because we had no idea what the next step was going to be. But instead of everybody being worried about that at each other, our WhatsApp thread between the staff on my bar just became the most supportive thing. Everybody sharing how much they loved each other. Everybody offering to do deliveries for each other or share food or anything we could to help each other get through this. I was trying to give my staff as much information as I possibly could, and yet a lot of them were checking in with me, and it was lovely. We're a big group of mates, and it was just really nice to see that we've got each other's backs, even if we no longer have that one location in common anymore. A couple of weeks ago we had to borrow a key for the back off our neighbours, and Beachy mentioned our situation, and that evening we got a text off them offering to just like share anything that they could help us with, and they said that if we needed to self-isolate they'd be happy to run errands for us and stuff, and it was really lovely. They've also all painted cute little rainbows and stuck them in the window next door. Beachy saw online that some people are using the rainbow as like a sign of hope in all of this madness, so her and Shane did some and we stuck them in my window too. They've all signed their little pictures and it's got the boys' ages and then man, age 40. Since we've been forced to spend more time in the house and we're not having to organise our lives around shift patterns that are kind of the same but also kind of different, we've been spending a lot more time together as a four, hanging out in the house. We've been having meals together. Shane made some lovely burritos. People have been doing proper cooking much more, and we've been sharing meals together. Beachy's an incredible baker and she's made some cakes and some cookies that were mwah. Shane's made a lovely pie today, but he's just left a sign on it saying that we're not allowed to eat it yet. Twat. We've been watching films together and listening to music together. We've been crafting together. We've organised so much of the house. It's looking spotless. Well, not quite spotless, but it's getting there day by day. The sun has been shining. I cannot tell you how beautiful that is. The sun is here. The sun is here. I love the sun, and I forget how miserable it is to go for months with rain every day, and the sun is out and it shines through this window and it lights up my yellow chair and my purple rug, and it's so pretty. Even though we can't go too close to each other, we're still allowed to go out for one bit of exercise a day. It's been nice watching families come out onto the street, watching the little ones play, and then other families come out, and then from like 10 metres apart they just have a long chat over the distance and then they go back in. Me and Ro went for our one permitted daily bike ride the other day, and the air is so still. You don't realise how much sound the background noise of a city is. The cars and the movement of machinery and people talking and things just moving, and that's just stopped. We cycled towards the river and then followed the path around towards the bay, went out onto the barrage, and it was just like so still. Even the water is still, because obviously it's a bay, so most of the movement in it comes from just boats and stuff, and it was just like so still. On the other side of the bay is a dual carriageway, and normally you can be looking out on this lovely, beautiful, sunny bay, but it's actually kind of just completely overloaded by this noise from the cars in the distance, and there still is the odd car, but generally it was so quiet. And people are behaving as if it's like a small town, you know, everyone's a little bit more connected. When we were out for our bike ride, we parked our bikes and we sat on some rocks, and a woman ran past and she was on FaceTime to her friend or something, but she still took the time to stop and say, "Hey guys, you alright? You enjoying your cycle?" And we had a brief chat, and then she was like, "Anyway, enjoy the sun, bye," and then turned to her friend to carry on the conversation. It's not that this is like a hard city where nobody interacts, but it's just like, I think people have so much more mental space right now that people aren't rushing around as much. We've been tidying and organising our house. This morning I saw an old couple painting the outside of theirs as they listened to ABBA. It has been so many years since I've been able to sit in my room relaxed and to pick a task to focus on, like music or editing, without having this underlying feeling that there's something more important that I should be doing. I'm really, really fortunate that while I have friends and family who are either involved in treatment of the disease or are self-isolating because they think they have it, so far nobody has been horribly affected by it that I know. Right now my people are safe, so my job is just to stay inside, keep away from people, wait to see what happens or what needs to be done next. This is going to be immensely difficult for people all across the world, but amongst all the sadness, it has made me focus more on the little things, and I guess that's good.